Hi there, my name is Vong and I'm an immigration and refugee lawyer here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Welcome to Vong Vlogs. Today we're going to be talking about refugee claims, and today's video is the first in a series of vlogs about refugee claims in Canada. Now, to be clear, we are not talking about sponsored refugees or the Group of Five program, and we are not talking about UNHCR refugees. We were talking specifically and only about convention refugees and protected persons, which are covered by sections 96 and 97 of the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. Before we begin, it's important to note that the information in this video is legal information only and that this is not legal advice. If you have a specific question about your situation, I highly recommend that you speak to a lawyer. Okay, let's get started. So today's video, we're going to cover how do you actually even go about making a refugee claim? Well, there are two primary ways. And the first is at the port of entry. So the port of entry is the airport or at the land border if you're driving over into Canada. And I creatively call these port of entry claims. So basically what happens is you arrive at the port of entry, again, the border or the airport, and you tell CBSA, I want to make a refugee claim. Now, CBSA will pull you aside and you will have to go through an interview process with the immigration officer. And they will generally ask you questions about why you came to Canada, what you're afraid of, who you're afraid of, what do you think will happen to you if you were to return to your country of origin, and what events led you to flee and come to Canada. Depending on the day, you might have this interview relatively soon after your arrival, or you might have to wait several hours, and if it's really busy, they might ask you to return in a few days to have your interview instead. You can also always request an interpreter if English is not your first language, or even if you're not totally comfortable in English. If you speak a dialect, you can let them know so that they can try and accommodate you by finding someone who speaks the same dialect. On top of that interview, you will also fill out several forms which cover your family's history, including your siblings and your parents, as well as your work history, education history, address history, basically your life history. So it's a lot of information, and if you have some time, whether you're waiting for your interview or whether you're in transit on the airplane, it might be a good idea to take some time to really organize your thoughts and kind of refresh your memory about the basic facts of your life. Once you're done, immigration is going to give you something called a refugee claimant identity document. This is a really important document because you'll need it to access Ontario services. They will also give you a copy of all of the forms that you filled out with them. They will give you copies of your passports, and the original passport stays with them. In addition to all of that, they will give you something called a basis of claim form. This is what lawyers commonly refer to as the BOC. The BOC is a really, really important form because it sets out the whole history of what happened in the country of origin, why you're making the refugee claim, and why you came to Canada at the time that you did and not, say, at an earlier date or at a later date. As soon as you get the BOC, it's really important that you contact a lawyer as soon as possible because it's due within 15 days. And so the more time you can give your lawyer to work on it, the better. Now, that's the port of entry claim process. You can also go through the inland claim process. And an inland claim means that you've already left the port of entry. You've left the airport, you've left the border, you're in Canada, maybe you've been here for a few days already, and you find a lawyer to assist you with your refugee claim. An inland claim is different than a port of entry claim in that you don't have a hard deadline per se of when it's due. Now, you don't want to take too long because you want to be mindful of the expiration of your temporary resident permit, and also there are some other issues that might come up if you take too long, which we'll talk about in a future video. But for the most part, you and your lawyer can work together start to finish and take your time to really make sure that everything is accurate, true, and complete. Once you're done filling out the forms with your lawyer, you're going to go and take 4 Canadian passport-sized photos for you and each of your family members in Canada who are making a refugee claim with you. It's really important that they're Canadian passport size, because if it's the wrong passport sized photo, they will not accept the photo and you'll have to take new ones. Then you take the passport photos, your original passports or travel document that you used to get into Canada, as well as all the forms you filled out with your lawyer, and you go to the immigration office to file your refugee claim. It's important to note that not every immigration office accepts refugee claims, and the ones that do might only accept them during certain days or certain hours. So if you're curious to see what offices near you accept refugee claims, check the link below. I'll put it up in the description, and you can make sure that the immigration office you're going to actually accepts refugee claims. So there you have it, folks. Those are your 2 ways of making refugee claims in Canada. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope it was informative. Please be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel so that you can stay up to date on the latest videos from Vong Vlogs. Bye for now.